Hey, what's up, Spooky fam? We are almost done with the 2023 wrap-up videos. I have my best of coming up next, and I'm also going to bring back the what I watched every month videos. So a what I watched in December will be coming soon because we watched 56 movies in December. Can we top it in January? Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more. Check out all of my links down below if you would like to see any more or support the channel any further. Today, we are talking about my honorable mentions. These are movies that are not ranked in any way. These are films that I just really enjoyed from 2023 horror films, but I wouldn't necessarily put them on my top 10, which will be coming up next. But I do have 11 movies on this list. I have no self-control, so if you guys like that sort of thing, let me know. I've got lots of lists that I'm conjuring up for the new year. I really like this kind of format. I feel so excited and invigorated about the content that I intend to create this year. So without further ado, let's get into my honorable mentions for 2023 horror movies. Now, keep in mind, like I said, not ranked. There is no ranking system here. I just really enjoyed these films. Starting off with Thanksgiving, directed by Eli Roth. After a Black Friday riot ends in tragedy, a mysterious Thanksgiving-inspired killer terrorizes Plymouth, Massachusetts, the birthplace of the holiday. Picking off residents one by one, what begins as random revenge killings are soon revealed to be part of a larger sinister holiday plan. And movie slapped. It was good. I genuinely guessed who the killer would be from like the first 10 minutes of the film, but it didn't take away from how much I enjoyed the actual killings, the gore. The accents were kind of bad. Patrick Dempsey, I'm looking at you. But overall, as a film, I enjoyed it. Next is a movie called Mother May I, directed by Lawrence Vanicelli. This one I want to put on your guys' radar because Kyle Gallner is in it and he is our horror king in this house. Emmett enters into a nightmarish game of therapy with his wife Anya, who has inexplicably taken on the persona of his estranged and recently deceased mother. And while I wouldn't necessarily call this like an intense horror film, it has really good horror elements, and this is the second film in the next two videos that I will be talking about starring Kyle Gallner. Stay tuned for the next video. Next is El Conde. I loved this film, directed by Pablo Larraín. After living for over 2 centuries, Augusto Pinochet is a vampire ready to die, but the vultures around him won't let him go without one last bite. And I thoroughly enjoyed the long run time with this story. I like that it took its time. I loved the black and white. I loved, like, this was camp. This was fun. This was stupid. This was right up my alley and it was like, it's still sophisticated but stupid at the same time, if you get my drift. I really enjoyed it. Okay, this next one, you guys know I am a sucker for anthologies, and on my honorable mentions, we have to have one as well. Satanic Hispanics. I loved this film. We have an incredible handful of directors with Alejandro Bruges, Mike Mendez, Gigi Salguero, Edward Sanchez, and Demian Rugna, who, you guys know, Terrified, When Evil Lurks, it will be on the next list, you guys, spoiler alert. Anyways, Satanic Hispanics was so fun for me. When police raid a house in El Paso, they find it full of dead Latinos and only one survivor. He is known as the Traveler, and when they take him to a station for questioning, He tells them those lands are full of magic and talks about the horrors he's encountered in his long time on Earth, about portals to other worlds, mythical creatures, demons, and the undead, stories about Latin American legends. And honestly, this was just so fun to dive into, to learn about other urban legends from around the world. It's just the directing style from different people. That's why I love anthologies, because you can really feel out someone's style of directing, because I feel like now I'm like, oh, that's Gigi Salguero, I understand her directing style. And I feel like anthologies give you the greatest opportunity to just understand directors a little more, and that's why I love them so much. Alright, I hated Scream 5. I hated it, but Scream 6 makes this list. Directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. This one also, we are just saying F Spyglass Pictures as a whole, but following the latest Ghostface killings, the 4 survivors leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh new chapter in New York City. Honestly, I really enjoyed this film, and you know, c'est la vie. Scream, c'est la vie. That's life. That's life. Because you know what? You fuck around, you find out. Now we don't have any sort of bones for Scream 7, and I'm kind of fine with that. Another one, another franchise film on this list. This is why all the, like, I'm trying to put all the franchise films in my honorable mentions as much as I can, because I feel like these did not make my top list, but I still want to mention them. Saw 10. Okay, Saw 10, you ain't gonna fool me that Tobin Bell is, like, you can only make him so young forever. As we've seen with the backwards hat in a lot of the other Saw movies. But Saw 10, directed by Kevin Grotert, which I believe he is coming back. He's been a part of the Saw family, but between the events of Saw and Saw 2, a sick and desperate John Kramer travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental medical procedure in hopes of a miracle cure for his cancer, only to discover the entire operation is a scam to defraud the most vulnerable. And I love a good origin story. I like the direction of this one. I enjoyed the traps, I enjoyed the overall story, but it definitely does not make my top of the year. But Was Afraid has to make the list, directed by Ari Aster. I've seen Hereditary close to 10 times. I have no shame in my game. He is one of my favorite directors. I've made videos about him. But Was Afraid has to make this list. Even though it's not necessarily a horror, it is once again a movie that has horror elements in it. A paranoid man embarks on an epic odyssey to get home to his mother. And if you guys know Holly from The Office, I can't, like, she's like pigeonholed as Holly to me from The Office, but she's got a role in this film where she is just absolutely batshit, and it makes the movie for me. All right, almost done here. Moving on to No One Will Save You, directed by Brian Duffield, who also did Spontaneous, which I really enjoyed actually. An exiled-ridden homebody must battle an alien who's found its way into her home, and Caitlin Dever put her whole pussy into this film. Like, it is so good. But what takes me out of the movie as a whole is you can tell how CGI'd the aliens are. And Alex and I watch a channel, Corridor Digital. They do VFX reacts, and they did a VFX reacts to the alien and how it was made in No One Will Save You. And seeing that also, it just didn't feel like fully believable to me. It still felt like it was in some sort of developmental stage, but Caitlin Dever's performance sold the whole film for me. I'm a big fan of her, so that watching her alone kind of have to live out this terror situation, that's what makes this list for me. All right, a little controversial, this next one. The Exorcist Believer is on this list. When two girls disappear into the woods and return 3 days later with no memory of what happened to them, the father of one girl seeks out Chris McNeil, who has been forever altered by what's happened to her daughter 50 years ago. And we just celebrated the 50-year anniversary of The Exorcist a few days ago. But this one's directed by David Gordon Green. I'm a little biased. I'm a big David Gordon Green fan. Love almost everything that he's done. We literally spent Christmas Day watching Pineapple Express. I love The Righteous Gemstones. I love the comedy that he does. I love the horror. When he did Halloween, I loved 2 of the 3 Halloween movies that he did, and I like that he has a hand in comedy and horror. It really gives me Jordan Peele vibes to have that comedy and horror rooting, and that's what I like. I like a good scary movie that has a little bit of levity. But I really liked The Exorcist Believer. If you guys have seen it, the ending, bawled my eyes out. Bawled. I was a baby. I was an absolute wreck at the end of that film. Hit me like a train. All right, we have 2 films left to go. Let's talk about The Wrath of Becky, directed by Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote. 2 years after she escaped a violent attack on her family, 16-year-old Becky attempts to rebuild her life in the care of an older woman, a kindred spirit named Elena. However, when a violent group known as the Noblemen break into their home, attack them, and take their beloved dog, Becky must return to her old ways to protect herself and her loved ones. I think Lulu Wilson has such, like, she is gonna be good coming up in like upcoming horror. I feel it all the way since like Ouija Origin of Evil. Even wasn't she in Annabelle Creation? Wasn't she in that? I just feel like she has such a hand in horror already, and she's such a fantastic actress. Becky as a character that I'm down to watch. I think it is so good to see comedy actors come in these roles in those films. Kevin James, Seann William Scott. It's so nice to see them kind of switch up and give us something that we're not expecting from them. I don't know, the gore is so good. I really enjoy the Becky films. Okay, and last on this list is a weird film, but I really enjoyed it. And if you guys like films like Henenlotter films, if you guys like body horror, if you guys like yucky, gross films, check out Appendage, directed by Anna Zlovic. After hitting a breaking point, Hannah's inner thoughts physicalize into a monstrous creature that threatens to upend her life. And this one is strange. You think it's gonna go one way, it doesn't. It has a whole different storyline that it hits you with midway through. I really enjoyed the direction that Appendage took. It was so fun to watch, and it's fairly well acted. And you know what? A movie that I didn't put anywhere. I don't have a place for it, but I want to mention it anyways, and that's Bad Things. This one was directed by Stuart Thorndike, and it is essentially a play on The Shining, where a weekend getaway for a few friends at a snowy hotel becomes a psychological tailspin and bloody nightmare. And honestly, like, this is one of the ones that I can't put on my worst horror films because I didn't hate it. I don't want to put it on my honorable mentions, but I guess I'll just kind of like leave it here as a recommendation. It is a play on The Shining with really like complex LGBT characters, and honestly from this film I kind of fell in love with Hari Nef. Have a soft spot for her now. She was in Barbie, and it was nice to see her and kind of discover a new actress in that role, in that aspect. Some of the parts were good, but I didn't hate it, didn't love it, don't feel confident enough to put it as an honorable mention, so I'm just gonna leave it here as an offering at the end. So that's gonna be it for my honorable mentions. Next video, I do have an actual episode of movie Roulette that Alex and I filmed. We did a rewatch of It Follows, so you guys are gonna get that pretty soon. But I'm just wrapping up the year here. I'm happy to be here. It's a new year of horror. I cannot wait to see what we have in store. The Night Swim comes out this week. We'll see what that's about. But on that note, I will leave you guys here. I will see you soon for my top 10 horror movies of the year of 2023. And I will see you guys then. Sayonara, spooky fam.